bowls, I think, as much anymore. But I do think bowl season has been pretty good this year. Obviously, a lot of your major teams are not playing in it, but a pretty big matchup yesterday with Miami and Iowa State. A really fun game. Obviously, we'll get some jokes off. We'll get some trolls off here in a minute. But the game was great. I mean, you got a team taking a lead with, less than a minute to go, and a huge comeback. A lot of offense. Somebody wants to watch a 6-3 bowl game, which has happened this bowl season. Bowl season's been good, and I am still somebody who cares about bowl games. But I've never, listen, we'll talk about this more in depth, but I've never seen something like a quarterback opting out at halftime or quitting at halftime, whatever you want. Somebody was on my case this morning, like, are you saying they opted out or they quitted? Or they quitted. They quit. To me, that's the same thing. It's just how you spin it, right? You're stopping playing, whether you're calling an opt-out or a quit, whatever. You're not finishing. Quit has such a negative connotation on it, and then opting out sounds better. But for all intent and purposes, it's the same freaking thing, right? Did the Florida State players quit last year? Yeah, yeah, they did. But we say opt-out because it sounds better, right? Or if it's your rival, you say they quit. It's the same freaking thing, right? It's not any different. They didn't play, or they didn't play half a game or whatever. But I've never seen a quarterback do this where they just say at halftime, yeah, dog, I'm done. I'm not going back in. That was one of the crazier things I've ever seen in college football.
So this is where I disagree with you. All of the Florida State players who opted out last year, or the vast majority of them, they've been playing hurt all year because they knew that if they continued to win, they would make it to the college football playoff. And the committee took that away from them. And they were not 100% healthy. It's not like Dalvin Cook, who played in the Orange Bowl, and when the year Christian McCaffrey sat out, and everyone's like, whoa, why is he playing? No, he wanted to play. Granted, it was in his hometown, so I get that's a little different. But at the same time, every Florida State player who opted out, they were nursing injuries, getting ready for the combine, because they knew the bowl game they were playing in against Georgia was meaningless. And Cam Ward made a big deal about saying, no, I'm playing. He had press conference after press conference where he was, bragging about, oh, I'm going to play in this game. I'm not going to quit on my team. And to the fact that he quit right after he got the touchdown record, that speaks volumes to me. There's a screenshot that's been going around Twitter or X, whatever Elon's company is called nowadays, where there's 56 seconds. You're down by 1. You're about to get the ball. And he's just sitting on the sidelines holding his shoulder pads and saying, nope, I'm good. He didn't care. He clearly, there were a lot of rumors about, did he just chase the money? He answered that question last night. Yes, he chased the money because when his team needed him the most, down by 1 with a minute left, he's perfectly healthy. He says, nah, I'm good. I don't need to play this. So I think it was a slap in the face to anyone who pays the Miami collective, the Miami fan base. I'm not saying I blame the kid because, yeah, there's a chance if he had gone back out there, he could have torn his ACL on that last drive, and then he's not ready for the combine. And NFL GMs look at him going from a potential first-round talent to maybe a 6th or 7th round draft pick. But I do think there's a difference between declaring that you're opting out, even if you can't say I'm opting out because I want to make sure I'm 100% healthy for the combine, and just straight up quitting on your team, because I think it's a fair question to ask. If he did not have that touchdown record yet, I think he plays in the second half. And I think deep down he knows that himself, and he just did not care if Miami won or lost that game. Granted, it's the Pop Tarts Bowl, whatever. I think it's the coolest bowl that the coolest meaningless bowl in the country, just having the sprinkles on the sidelines and the actual toaster inside the trophy. I think all of that is awesome, but no, I think Cam Ward absolutely quit on Miami because he does not give a damn about that school.
Yeah. So I agree with all that. I'm just saying from a word choice perspective, to me, quitting and opting out is the same thing. It's just how we label it, but I'll agree with every point you just made. Doing it at halftime of the game is way worse. Think about the fans that imagine if you were going to the last regular season game of the year, right? And you mentioned LeBron earlier, and you were going because you wanted your kids to see it. And LeBron after a quarter said you know what? I hit the all-time Lakers scoring this year. I'm going to opt out of these last 3 quarters.
Load management. Yeah.
Yeah. That is crazy to me in a meaningless game, right? Whether they made the playoffs or not, if the playoffs were on the line, obviously LeBron or whoever would play. But yeah, no, I agree with you. It is worse. Think about the fans that traveled to the game, the few that did that. They were chanting, Richie, we want Cam
Want
at the end of
Cam,
the
yeah.
game. And, you know, you've got these, I saw Tim Reynolds, mention, hey, like he didn't opt out. This was always the plan. This is what they were going to do. They wanted to evaluate Emory. First of all, Emory played
Ridiculous.
two games. It played in multiple games last year. If it was really about evaluation, they let Emory throw the ball 6 times before that final minute of the game. Like they were evaluating how well he could hand the ball off, Richie. Like they weren't evaluating crap. And if it was about evaluation, then I think you'd say, okay, we saw what we needed to see from him. Let's go win this game. Like put Cam, put LeBron back in for the last minute and see if we can go win this game, because why not?
And Cam would have probably got MVP.
Yep, he probably would have let him down because they were only down 1, and they've got a hell of a kicker in Borregales who can nail it from like 55 plus. All they needed was like 25 yards, and they would have taken the field goal. Like, you don't think Cam Ward coming in last minute with 2 timeouts couldn't have gotten 25 yards? Like, guys were open. Like, Emory just couldn't hit them. Like, they would have won the game if Cam played like he'd have played 4 snaps, right? And I'll tell you this. You look at some of the competitors, like you look at people that actually care, and maybe this is not just a Cam Ward thing. Maybe it's just where we are right now in college football. But I'll tell you who would have never done this is Jameis Winston would have never sat out a second half. Or if he did because they wanted to evaluate the guy behind him, Jameis would have punched Jimbo in the face to say, I'm going in on this last minute. I'm going to win this Pop Tarts Bowl. Jameis Winston, like, in NFL preseason games right now, is like running people over because he wants to win, running down the field to force fumbles like he did for the Browns a couple of weeks ago. Like, I'm just telling you. And again, Jameis never played in a Pop Tart Bowl. And so maybe that, never played in a game that wasn't the Natty or a playoff game. And so maybe that's part of it too. But I'll tell you, man, like it's just where we are right now. But it also strikes me, and I know people hate Colorado. I know they don't want to give Deion any credit. They don't want to give Shedeur or Travis any credit. Shedeur Sanders getting blown out last night. Like, BYU absolutely handled them. It wasn't even a game after halftime. Shedeur Sanders getting blown out was still absolutely laying his body on the line and got banged up in the game. Now, I don't think he significantly hurt his draft stock or anything, like nothing tragic or detrimental, but like down 30 points in the fourth quarter, Shedeur was still playing. And so for all the people,
most likely,
for all the people that want to say like, oh, well, Deion just went there for his son. Like he doesn't care about Boulder. He doesn't care about Colorado. I mean, listen, I've been a Deion doubter at times too, but like his kid was down 30, laying it on the line to they weren't going to come back, but to just try to do something to help that program. And they did score late and made it look a little bit better. But the contrasting images of those two guys, both top 5 picks, both the top 2 quarterbacks in the country, one sitting on the sideline with a minute to go, holding his shoulder pads, and the other one out there laying his body on the line while getting blown out by 30 in a game that was over. 5 minutes left, you're down by 27 or whatever it was, still kind of laying on the line, I think speaks volumes. And if Shedeur would have opted out of the second half, then I think you'd say, man, maybe that's just college football now. But to literally those guys are buddies too. Like you're completely right. It is so, and again, kids can opt out, kids can quit at any point. I don't care, right? Like I don't have a huge problem with it. I just think optically it looks terrible. Hey, I got my record. I don't care about this program. I don't care about this school. I don't care about these teammates. I don't care about any of this stuff. I got mine, right? I'm going top 5 in the draft. I got the record. A lot of it said an incarnate world, right? Like we probably should label some of these records that we're getting. But I got my record. I got my draft pick. I don't care about y'all. Good luck. I don't care, right? So, yeah, I think it's a bad look. And, just could not happen to a better program. Bobby Bowden still with more bowl wins than Miami since 2007.
Well, I think it's something that, could have been easily foreshadowed, right? Because you go back to his recruitment in the portal, and he was clearly only looking for money, right? He looked at the NFL draft, got a grade he didn't like. Miami probably offered him more money than the draft grade he got, which is fine. Like, I have no problem with anybody chasing money. I am a capitalist. I go get your money however you can get it, as long as it's legal and it doesn't harm anybody else. Although it did harm a lot of Miami fans this year because they wasted a lot of money on a guy who delivered them not a single thing, really. But that's kind of, I wonder what NFL GMs are going to think about when they see that. It's one thing if he had opted out before the bowl game, nobody would have cared. This would not even be a conversation. No national media would be talking about it. Like, listen, he's a potential first round draft pick. It's a meaningless bowl game. He has no chance to win anything other than a trophy with a toaster in it. I don't think anybody would have had a problem with him opting out of the game, but to play the game just to get that record and then say, I'm good. That's where I have the problem. Because if you're going to start something, finish it. You chose to start that game. And again, if it was a blowout, if Miami was up by 30 or down by 30, and he says, listen, I just need to sit this game out. I don't want to risk it. I think nobody would have a problem with it. But the way it all played out, to your point, TJ, optically, it is just a horrible look.
Yeah. And again, could not happen to a better program. So, and again, you're going to get some of this. Florida State had struggled with some optics things. There were some, we've talked about this, Keon Coleman, and you got guys that don't necessarily love the program. This is a business at the end of the day. And I don't blame
TJ Lundy's situation was,
I don't blame any kid for that, but to allow that as the Miami staff, just tell them like, dude, you're either in or you're out, man. Like, and these people, we just wanted to evaluate Emory. And then you got Mario in the press conference saying like, oh, that was an internal decision. We're not going to discuss it. Well, that pretty much tells you they weren't just trying to evaluate Emory, because if they were, they would have just said that. Like, yeah, man, we wanted to see what the backup would look like for next year. Like, I don't know, just the carrying of water that goes on down there is pretty impressive too. The stranglehold that North Korea has on that on that beat is pretty funny. But